Hello dear candidates, welcome again to Bioclasses online. Today we are going to start the post-Mendelian inheritance. Dear candidates, if you have not subscribed my YouTube channel yet, do subscribe now and hit the bell icon so that you will get all the notifications of my videos. So first of all, we will see what is gene interaction. Gene interaction is the influence of one allele over the another allele of the same gene or the other gene. When one allele influences the expression of the another allele of the same gene or the other gene, such an interaction is called as gene interaction. And there are two types of the gene interaction. The first type is called as interallelic or intragenic gene interaction. When the allele of one gene influences the expression of the allele of the same gene, such an gene interaction is called as interallelic or intragenic gene interaction. So simply we can say the interallelic gene interaction is the influence of one allele over the another allele of the same gene. The important examples of this type of gene interaction are incomplete dominance, codominance, multiple alleles, and lethal genes. And the second type of gene interaction is called as nonallelic or intergenic gene interaction. When one allele influences the another allele of the different gene or the other gene, such an gene interaction is called as nonallelic or intergenic gene interaction. So in this case, that is the nonallelic or the intergenic gene interaction, the allele of one gene influences the expression of another allele of the different gene or the another gene. And the important examples of nonallelic gene interaction are epistasis, duplicate genes, complementary genes, and supplementary genes. So first of all, we will see the interallelic or intragenic gene interaction. And the first example about this interallelic or intragenic gene interaction is the incomplete dominance or intermediate inheritance. And incomplete dominance is the phenomenon where none of the two alleles of a gene is dominant over each other, so that when both of them are present together, a new phenotype is formed which is somewhat intermediate between the independent expression of the two alleles. Here in case of this incomplete dominance, none of the two alleles are dominant over each other. Both alleles when present together, they will get expressed itself and will form a new phenotype which will be intermediate between the two parent phenotypes. Now let's take the example of this incomplete dominant. The important example of this incomplete dominance is the flower color in snapdragon or dog flower. Antiherinium majus is the botanical name of this plant, that is the snapdragon. This snapdragon has the two types of the flowers in its pure state, and the two types of the flowers are the red and white. And when the pure plants having the red and white colored flowers are crossed with each other, the hybrids or the F1 generation plants are produced are having the pink colored flowers. And if these F1 generation plants are allowed to go for the self-pollination, the F2 generation plants are formed or produced in the ratio of 1:2:1. That is 1 red, 2 pink, and 1 white. Now let's try to explain this incomplete dominance in case of this snapdragon with the help of a diagram. You can see here that the parent generations are having the two types of the flowers, that is red and white. The red colored the plants having the red colored flowers are denoted by the symbols or denoted by the factors capital R, while as the plants having the white colored flowers are denoted by means of the alleles small r. And once the gametes are formed, the plants having the red colors will produce the gametes carrying the one capital R, and the plants having the white colored flowers will produce the gametes carrying the one small r. And in case of F1 generation, you can see all the F1 generation plants will have the pink colored flowers and they have the genotype of capital R, small r. So the new phenotype is formed when the plants are having the heterozygous condition, or when the plants are hybrids. And when these hybrids, F1 hybrids having the new phenotype, formed the new phenotype, that is the pink colored flowers, when they are allowed to go for the self-pollination, three types of the plants are formed in the ratio of 1:2:1. You can see here one plant will have the red flowers, two plants will have the pink flowers, and one plant will have the white flowers. As you can see in the pinnate square, the plants having the genotype of capital R, that is when the capital R is in the homozygous condition, then the red colored flowered plants will be produced. When the plant is homozygous for the small r allele, then white colored flowers will be produced. White colored plants having the white colored flowers will be produced. And when the plants are heterozygous, that is they possess both capital R and small r, that is the plants will produce the pink colored flowers, because both alleles, that is the capital R as well as the small r, they are not dominant over each other, but they get both of these alleles will get expressed and result in the formation of a new phenotype somewhat intermediate between the parent generation, that is the red and white, and the plants will have the flowers, that is pink colored flowers. And here one thing important again, that in F2 generation the phenotypic as well as the genotypic ratio is the same. Phenotypic ratio is 1:2:1, while as the genotypic ratio is also the 1:2:1. 1 pure capital R, 2 capital R, small r, and 1 small r. And another example of this incomplete dominance is the flower color in 4 o'clock plant, that is Mirabilis jalapa. Here again, in the same way as in case of the snapdragon, there are the two types of the plants in the pure form which act as the parent generations, having the red flowers and white flowers, and they produce the pink flowered colored plants in the F1 generation. And when these F1 pink colored flowered plants are allowed to go for the self-pollination, three types of the plants are produced in the F2 generation in the ratio of 1:2:1. That is 1 red, 2 pink, and 1 white. And the third example of this incomplete dominance is the Indolation Power. The Indolation Powers have the two forms. They exist in the two forms. Some of the powers are black in color, while as some of the powers are white in color. And one of these pure black and white powers are allowed to cross with each other. The F1 individuals will have the blue colored, and one of these F1 individuals having the blue color or blue colored F1 individuals are allowed to produce the F2 generation. Three types of the powers will be formed in the F2 generation in the ratio of 1:2:1. 1 black, 2 blue, and 1 white. We can see here with the help of diagram that how this incomplete dominance occurs in case of the Indolation Powers. The black powers are denoted by the alleles capital B, and white flowered are white flowered flowers are denoted by the allele small b small b. As you can see, the black flowered will produce the gametes having the one of the capital B, and white flowered flowers will produce the gametes carrying one of the small b. And the F1 flowers produced will have the genotype of capital B and small b. So this and are blue colored. So the F1 generation of the flowers are heterozygous, or they are the hybrids. And one of these F1 flowers, F1 generation flowers, that is possessing the they are blue colored flowers, are allowed to produce the F2 generation. Three types of the flowers are produced in the F2 generation in the ratio of 1:2:1. 1 black, 2 blue, and 1 white. So again here I will mention that the genotypic as well as the phenotypic ratio in case of incomplete dominance is the same. Genotypic ratio is 1:2:1 in F2 generation, while as the phenotypic ratio is also the 1:2:1. So this was all about the incomplete dominance. Subscribe and share Bioclasses online. Thank you.